was a defensive back at A&T and graduated from the school in 1999. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
We can do it. We try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. But we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when. But it's coming back again. Oh, yes, it is. It's leading me. Oh, God, it's time for you to return. Oh, Lord, me. I know.
It is indeed that time. We count it all joy to be with you per usual. The doctor is in the house. Doc, I don't know, a lot going on per usual. We have the question looming about whether or not African countries should help the Trump administration with Gaza, with our Palestinian sisters and brothers. In other words, should the United States be in the business of trying to relocate a whole population of people from their homeland and get some African countries like Libya, to help them? We're going to wrestle with that. And then there are a whole bunch of Democrats speaking out about President Biden. We know that as of, I think it was Sunday, it was announced that Monday, that President Biden is struggling with prostate cancer. We knew that before, but now the doctors are saying that the cancer has penetrated to his bones. So we get that. Definitely sending thoughts and prayers to him and his family. That's the humanitarian in us. But a whole host of Democrats, Doc, before this latest revelation about what was happening with his prostate cancer came out there on the stump. People like Senator Chris Murray. You had former Labor Secretary or Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Beto, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke. All of them out there talking about how Biden should have never ran. But I don't recall, maybe it's me, and Doc, I need you to straighten me out. I don't recall them having any intestinal fortitude or any spine in 2023 or even in 2022 to talk about how there should be a robust Democratic primary. Now they out there getting interviews talking about what President Biden shouldn't have done when they didn't say a mumbling word when it counted. I don't know, Doc, maybe you got a call from them while you were running saying, go ahead on, Dr. West, do that primary. Or Congressman Dean Phillips or Marianne Williams, you name it. I don't think any of that happened, but you can straighten me out. The doc's in the house. We want to know what's on your heart, your soul, and your mind on this day.
Well, my dear sister, you got a whole lot there on the table and on the platter. Indeed. Can't wait to get to it. Always a joy to be in conversation with you. I'm telling you that. But you know what's on my mind right now is a combination of, on the one hand, recognizing that we must never allow our foes to be our primary focus. We must never allow our enemies to be our first point of reference. We cannot simply react and be parasites on their hosts. We must fall back on the depth, the breadth, and scope of our own tradition that's rooted in a deep love and a joy and a freedom and a fortitude and a gratitude and a perseverance. What does that mean? That means that in many ways, our first move has to be one of consolidating our powers. And by consolidating our powers, what I mean is fortifying our tradition inside of us. So that, for example, time spent at Morehouse College, Lord have mercy, just like Simmons College.
Yeah.
Be the Apollo. It could be Abyssinian Baptist Church. It could be Shorter AME Church. It could be United whatever context one has a sense of empowerment. I've actually encountered it in reading this powerful text by Sister Tina Knowles on Matriarch, and she's known, of course, as being the mama of Beyonce, but it's really her life and the tradition, the profound love story of Agnes and Loomis, and going all the way back to Galveston and working it through all the crisis, all the catastrophe, with what? Deep love in the family tradition, with the music and so forth. So it's not about a little superficial dialogue about Beyonce. No. We talking about human beings on the chocolate side of town, sustaining themselves with a dignity and with a fortitude and with a sanctity. And just listening last night to Coltrane, same thing. How you do it, Alice Coltrane? How you do it, John Coltrane? How you do it, Robbie Coltrane? That's what we need, because I'm telling you, these days are getting dimmer and dimmer and grimmer and grimmer. I was just with Brother Ross Baraka yesterday. Of course, he got the charges were dropped against him, but now they got charges against Sister LaMonica McIvy, so that these vicious attacks are going to intensify. We have to be ready with our full armor, and the only armors we've ever had as a people in the end is our love, our courage, our fortitude, our forbearance, our perseverance, our humor, music, and for some of us, Jesus. Now the others, Allah. Some might be Buddha, others might be something else, but I've tried Jesus for myself. He's right. I tell you that right now. Indeed.
I tried him too, Doc. He all right. Just all right with me. Wow, that's really deep. Never allow our foes to be our focus. Now that preaches. If I was preaching a sermon on Sunday, that would be the title of my text. Never allow our foes to be our focus. And it really is hard in moments like this not to allow that to happen. And so we have to deconstruct our construction on a regular basis and fortify. I love that word, for fortify our commitment to whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things that are beautiful, think on those things. Oh my Lord, this is heating up, y'all. When Dr. West and I come forward, we will talk about whether or not African nations should take in our Palestinian sisters and brothers and family and friends in terms of helping the Trump administration displace them. Because I want you to know that is the operative word, displace. And what's going on with these neoliberals? All of a sudden getting a stroke of courage to speak up and speak out about what President Joseph R. Biden shouldn't have done after the fact when we come forward.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint. KVLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast. Oh my God. But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on. On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 host will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Indeed, we are here. And you know what, Dr. West, so excited about the anniversary for KBLA Talk 1580 that's coming up in June. We're going to just celebrate all month long.
Gonna be a beautiful thing. 4 magnificent years, Brother Tavis. Duke Ellington said about Ella Fitzgerald, she's beyond category.
Beyond category.
Tavis is beyond category and still a young brother.
Yes, I'm feeling that. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that he is so committed to justice and speaking the truth and all of that good stuff. So Truth Time is just barely scratching the surface for what Brother Tavis Smiley has been given to the community and the nation. I want to put that out there. So this whole discussion, reflection among some of the neoliberals in the Democratic Party, I'm really just shaking my head because I think it's a little too late, as the saying goes. These people were nowhere around, not even just a little bit. They were nowhere around in 2023 when people like me were out there getting raped through the mud, called everything but a child of God. People saying that we're trying to empower Donald J. Trump because we said there should be a real, true, robust primary. I mean, and then you yourself, like, you didn't just say it, you stepped into the gap. He said, hey, here am I'm running. And Democrats sued all over the country to keep people like you off the ballot, Marianne Williams' son, Congressman Dean Phillips. They ran afoul of Robert Kennedy Jr., which is why he over there in the Trump administration to begin with, and on and on and on. But now all of a sudden, because there is no consequence or repercussions for them to say, oops, the Democratic Party should not have let President Biden run again. So I was starting to work on an article that I put on Substack, and then the diagnosis came out. And so I put out, my prayers are with the Biden family. And of course, you will not be surprised to hear that I got a variety of, he lorded over genocide, this is karma, or you hate him, you talked against him all this time, your prayers mean nothing. And so I thought, you know what? I'm about to pause to answer some of my critics. I don't often do that, to quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail, but I just had to pause. And I centered what we talk about on the show all the time, which is my humanity, my morality, and my Black liberation theology says to me that I am going to pray for this man and his family, notwithstanding all the other stuff is true. But it is also true that I have an obligation to be me in that regard. So, Doc, your thoughts?
Well, no, I'm with you. You see, you are, like me, a Jesus-loving, free Black person. And it means then that we don't ask for anybody's permission as to who we love.
Yes.
For anybody's permission as to who we pray for. And we certainly don't ask for anybody's permission as to when and how we laugh. Do life as a free Black human being, which means, of course, we got some white supremacist bombardment, which means, of course, you got Black critics and all kind of systems and domination, and we speak our minds on Gaza, we speak our minds on Sudan, we speak our minds on wealth greed, we speak our minds on mass incarceration, but we can pray for anybody because we are free and we are concerned about the humanity of anybody and anyone.
Ooh, Doc, you just broke that all the way down. I am loving that. Yeah, that's how I was feeling. And I just
how we was reared. That's what's inside of us.
That's right. Couldn't not do it if I tried. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I did, Substack article. People can go and read it. I just want to share a little bit of it.
Absolutely.
The headline: Cancer is not justice. What is our freedom? What is our foundation for liberation? So I wrote last week, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke went on the show Pod Save America, a podcast popular with liberal Democratic Party voters, and made the statement that President Biden should not have ran again in 2024. His exact words were, Biden should not have run again. And to be even more clear, he failed this country in the most important job that he had. His statement follows similar statements from former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, and then Sunday morning, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy expressed a similar sentiment. I plan to write an honest rebuke of these statements today, as they take no courage to make. These things should have been said in 2023 when it mattered, like I and a handful of others did, but establishment Democrats acted with their careers in mind instead of common sense and the needs of the people. These recent pronouncements are more of the same feckless cowardice that paved the way for President Trump 2.0. And I go on and on just to lay out that these people deserve no credit. They shouldn't even be being interviewed. People like you, me, and others should be interviewed about this because we told the truth when it mattered. Then I go on to talk about the diagnosis and the obligation to pray for him and his family and to not wash away what he has done. He lorded over genocide. I happen to believe that him and Netanyahu should go before the International Court. That doesn't change that. So, Doc, can these two things exist at the same time?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, because when you're pursuing the truth itself embraces a number of different realities.
That's deep.
That the neoliberals didn't want to tell the truth about how Biden and Harris and Austin and so many others, Sullivan and others, were facilitating genocide or war crimes in the form of ethnic cleansing and genocide, sustained occupation and apartheid. They didn't want to deal with that. We had to tell the truth. The truth is also, truth also embraces the reality that every human being is made in the image and likeness of a mighty God that has a sanctity and a dignity that can never be snuffed out.
Yes.
The gangsters and thugs still have a sanctity. Now, people might have trouble coming to terms with that. You see, they might have trouble, but they may reject it, or they may say, ourselves as Christians, We not worthy of being listened to because these Christians are just naive so-and-sos. Hey, call us anything you want. That's all right. We still moving forward. We still gonna be true to ourselves. And the irony is, even the people cussing us out, we recognize they have a dignity. We recognize they have a sanctity. And we will come to their defense even as they trying to cuss us out at the moment. That's what it is to be Christian, full of improvisation, flexibility, and fluidity, because the love takes so many different forms. It's one and many simultaneously. That's
Doc, sometimes,
I,
sometimes I feel like Peter.
wow.
Doc, sometimes I feel like a Peter Christian, though, Just pull out the sword and start and ask questions later.
Well, you remember that same Peter, what did he do? Denied 3 times.
He did.
3 times. And that's the Peter upon which Jesus built his church. So powerful on the one hand because something is coming through, but you got low expectation because there's levels of corruption in every church, corruption in every institution. So it's a miracle that the gospel gets through to the people through the churches that human beings run.
Yeah.
Of as real as a heart attack and new as foam and steady and solid as a rock.
Amen, amen, amen on that, Doc. Then I go forward to talk about, what's happening, as I watch in horror about what's happening to Palestinians in Gaza. And I talk about what's happening to people over here in the United States of America. He is receiving the type of health care that he denied other Americans for his entire career. I want y'all to wrap your mind around all that juxtaposition, all that irony being held up. Now, when you said truth embraces a number of realities, that really just sums it up. Because there is a part of me, I understand karma, I get it. Karma comes in many forms. It's coming for all of us, not just him. So the people want to be self-righteous about this being his karma. My argument is that cancer is not justice. I'm not about to sit up here and champion this man's cancer becoming more and more aggressive. I'm going to show him the type of humanity he hasn't shown to Palestinians. I'm going to show him the type of humanity he hasn't shown to Americans in this country with policies that he could have championed and pushed through his entire career from Congress to vice president to president of the United States. I'm just going to show him a level of humanity that he was incapable of showing to others.
And that's powerful, my dear sister. That's the kind of thing that puts a smile on Martin Luther King Jr. and Fannie Lou Hamer's face from the grave. And you see, that's the highest standard. If you got Martin smiling from the grave, then all the other folk coming at you are really secondary. They're tertiary. You know what I mean?
I do.
The saxophone and Charlie Parker's hollering from the grave. You're sounding so good. Then you got the critics in the New York Times and New York Post saying, I don't think you know how to play the saxophone. You keep on blowing because Charlie Parker says so. The critics don't know what they talking about. That's what they said about Coltrane and Giant Steps. He's playing so fast, he don't know what notes he's playing in Giant Steps. No, he's just playing so fast because the spirit is hitting him so hard they can't transcribe the notes on the paper, but he ain't concerned about the paper. He's concerned about the souls of the people who he's playing for. He don't know how to play the saxophone. Train, don't worry about them, brother. Charlie Parker says it's all right. Lou Hamer. That's how we relate to Martin King. That's how we to Irene. That's how we relate to your precious mama and grandmama. What's their names?
Inez is grandma, Faye is mama.
Inez and Faye. Hey, hey, hey. If Retha say you can sing, don't worry about the critics.
I love that, Dr. Critics don't know what they're talking about. Yes, sir. Yes.
We're praying for them. I'm praying.
We praying for them. So, Doc, do you think any of the, I mean, we can't look into the hearts of these people, but it just seems a little convenient to me. I'm just going on past practice. When I ask you this question, is this like, are they having revelations now, or are they doing this because Democrats only have a 27% popularity rate or approval rating among Democrats in the country? I don't know.
No, I think that when you're on team Democratic Party tied to the establishment of that party, curtailed from telling certain truths. There are certain taboos in place that you never ever want to say. Now, I heard on the street that even Brother Bernie Sanders said something the other day. Did you hear that? He said the Democratic Party standing in the way of democracy. I said, he's telling the fundamental truth about the establishment of the Democratic Party. Some of us been saying that for a long time. Now, he, in many ways, have been enacting it. For him to say it explicitly and then recommend folk on local levels to run as independents. You said, Brother Bernie, the brother who we spent so much time with in 2016, so much time with 2020, that he's sounding very, very much like what you've been saying, I've been saying.
Yeah, Doc, I did hear it. Very delighted. Of all the people who are out there, I do believe he is sincere. Maybe it's because we did spend so much time to really get to know him. And he has a track record of going against the grain. Unlike these other people, they have no track record of going against the grain. That's why it seems like this is awfully convenient. But I am disappointed that the senator tried to force people to vote for Biden, though, in 2024. Him and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, and now all of a sudden they see the light. I do believe that Senator Bernie Sanders is where he's always been, and he's just voicing it more strongly. But these other people, I got a question. And he didn't have to push people closer to Biden the way that he did. He got an answer for that. But I'm glad he's out there. And of all of them, he has receipts to show that he will buck the system. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not driving you, baby.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Former Atlanta, Georgia Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who is Black, is running for governor. In a video post, she criticized President Trump and pledged to expand Medicaid if elected.
Georgia families deserve far better than what Donald Trump and Republicans are giving us.
Bottoms previously served in the Biden administration and led Atlanta from 2018 to 2022. Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial is back underway in New York City. A male dancer known as The Punisher is testifying following claims from Combs' former assistant that Cassie felt trapped due to his control over her career. Combs faces life in prison. And a historic Black community in Prince William County, Virginia, called The Settlement has been rezoned to allow over 200 new homes. Once a safe haven for freed slaves after the Civil War, the land was approved for development last week. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Angels are still playing well. After sweeping the Dodgers over the weekend, they started a 7-game road trip Monday night with a 4-3 win at Oakland. 4 straight win for the Angels and their manager, Ron Washington. The Dodgers have lost 4 straight. They lost 9-5 at home Monday night to Arizona. The Dodgers were down 7-0 after 3 innings. The Western Conference Finals tip off tonight in the NBA playoffs. Minnesota at Oklahoma City in Game 1 of the best of 7. 2 years ago, Minnesota and OKC played each other in the play-in tournament. Both teams are now one step away from playing for the NBA championship. 5:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. Detroit Lions general manager Brad Holmes gave the commencement speech Saturday at the graduation ceremonies for HBCU North Carolina A&T. Holmes was a defensive back at A&T and graduated from the school in 1999. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk Radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You really about to do it? 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Chuck McDowell here. If you were misled or lied to in any way when buying a timeshare, right now is your wake-up call. With the tariffs, economy tanking, and inflation rising, you might need to ask yourself this question. Is owning a timeshare a good idea? With all the economic uncertainty, you need to protect yourself and your family. Don't look back and say, if I'd have only got rid of that stupid timeshare they lied to me about. It's time to stop thinking about canceling your timeshare and finally get rid of it and be smart with your money. At Wesley Financial Group, we've saved 48,000 families an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare permanently or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-954-3322. 800-954-3322. 800-954-3322.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Beautiful indeed. Never allow our foes to be our focus. That is coming from the brilliant one himself, Dr. Cornel West. Well, this is what we do about this time. We go into the tube and see what our family over there have to say about what they're hearing and or seeing on this day. From Miss Lady K, Dr. West, are you going to run again in 2028? You should.
You tell my dear sister that I'm running for justice and Jesus until I drop.
Amen. All right, Miss Lady K, you heard that. Running for Jesus and running for justice. We have Daniel Samir, peace and grace, Dr. West, and Senator Turner. And Daniel, also, when you speak your heart, Dr. West, you unite our hearts. Thank you. Blessed Peacemaker in the house. Love being with you all. Morris Phillips in the house. Good afternoon, freedom fighters. Dr. Cornel West and Senator Turner, stay strong. And then they're having their conversations with one another, which I really love. We have, I think there's Revenge Chic. Love it. Love y'all. Love it. Y'all are awesome. Morris Phillips back in the house. Be fair, everybody. There's a difference between corporate Democrats and non-corporate Democrats. And I agree with that, Doc. Your take?
Well, the thing is that we need freedom fighters in every context, in every lane, and in every work in which we find ourselves. I mean, look at what Brother Tavis does. Tavis builds on the legacy of the voice of truth-telling. He builds on the legacy of Booker T. Washington, of institution building. Then he takes it and he smilifies it. He smilifies it. See? He gives it his own twist. He gives it his own insight, his own wisdom, his own injection of love from Joyce and the others, you see, so that everybody has their calling in their respective context. So you could be a force for good in the Democratic Party. I was just with Ras Baraka yesterday. He's my brother. I walked the wards with him and Amiri Baraka. He's revolutionary communist. His son, Amina Baraka, revolutionary communist, supported her son. I was there with them. He was running as a Democrat. He's a Democrat running for what? Governor right now. But he's a very, very different kind of Democrat than 98% of the Democrats.
Yeah, that's a great example, Dr. West. Smilify. It's smilify a person, place, and a thing. It's all of that.
It's a process, person, an event.
It's an event. Brother Tavis better pick up on that. You better go and take that what Dr. West put out there for you. That is absolutely beautiful. And I also think there's a difference between the leadership of the Democratic Party. Let me just add to what Doc said, and the faithful of the party. People who they are true believers. They just believe, and they've been manipulated into believing, just as the Republicans, that it's blue against red, them against us, not understanding that really the battle was between the haves and the have-nots.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. No,
yeah. So I, Doc, we just laying this thing out here this way. So I want to get back to some more of our comments, Doc, when I get a chance to get back to some of it. But so we're thinking about our precious Palestinian sisters and brothers and family and friends in this whole debate that the Trump administration is just having in a very cavalier way about where these people should be placed. Instead of saying to Israel, we got to have a reconstruction. You broke it, you fix it. So that they can have, even that space was too many people in a small space, but they did build community. You talk all the time about the number of colleges that were leveled, religious institutions leveled, buildings leveled, banks leveled. So even in that small space with over 1 million people, they still tried to make it home as best that they could. A lot of people call it an open air prison. And now you want to take that from them and force them onto somebody else's country. And then what are the people in that country supposed to feel and think? It breeds resentment, is what it does. And it's unfair to everybody all the way around. Your thoughts, Doc?
I mean, one is we've talked before about we don't even have a language to describe the war crimes that have been taking place, not just in Gaza, but the West Bank as well. And it's interesting that when it comes to the voices of the precious Palestinian people, when it comes to self-determination on behalf of the Palestinian people, that's not even a factor. So first you get the occupation, then you get the attempted extermination. Now you get expulsion. The voices and people have no weight, status, stature whatsoever. That is spiritually sick, it's morally decrepit, and it is a justification of the variety of war crimes that are taking place. It's a rationalization of it. And it's interesting because it's done in the name of what? The self-determination of the Jewish state. Oh, so that self-determination has a halo over it, but self-determination of Palestinians has absolutely no status. It's occupation, attempted extermination, and expulsion. No. And if African nations play any role, it will be nothing but a repetition of neo-colonial African elites, presidents, and elected officials who are deferential to the American imperial project. And there's a whole lot of them now. There's a whole lot of them there. Not just Rwanda. They're all across the continent. But thank God are some African leaders and a few African politicians who will radically call it into question.
Well, South Africa did their thing. I mean, they called,
Yes.
some leaders there, they argued before the international court. I mean, they really showed, I mean, who would have thought South Africa? But they did do that, and you're right. When I think about Libya, though, where Gaddafi, I know his leadership was mixed, but he definitely was moving into a more populist mode of really taking care of his people there, imperfect as any leader is, and how America's geopolitical, they messed up, they messed around in there, and disrupted, like our politicians, our international politics often disrupts. We got to ask ourselves about the pull-push factors as to why people want to leave their homes. Most of those people are leaving because they feel like they have no other choice. If the so-called superpowers or the Western powers would stop dipping and causing chaos and confusion, we might have a little more stability, Doc, around the world. But your point is, if they entertain this, they're being seduced by the power and the money. And the carrot that the United States is dangling over Libya in particular is giving them back their money that we're holding. Did y'all hear what I just said? We're going to give them back their money that we're holding.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? I'm telling you. But it's the way at the moment the international order has been hijacked by American imperial interests as they compete against China's own efforts to, reshape parts of the world for its interests. And there's not too many other competitors when you think about it. Russia is really not a major empire. A tremendous nuclear power, but it's very wounded, and its economy is very small compared to China and the United States. So it's really the United States and China that are going at it at the highest levels of international power. But the BRIC countries are on the move now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hold that thought on the BRIC countries. When we come forward, we'll talk about that.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. Doc, as we were coming forward, you were saying that the BRIC countries are on the move.
Absolutely, because as the American empire continues to decline and decay, the American power will more and more be decentered. And you can see it clearly in terms of America beginning to panic. See, a lot of the Make America Great Again is a form of panic because of the challenges of what's happening on the global scale. And empires tend to become more violent internally and externally as they reach the end of their reign. That's almost a certain, not a law, but it's a strong tendency. You see it in the 70 or so empires that we've seen in the history of the species. And so the BRIC countries of Brazil and India and Indochina and so on, South Africa. And I think in the end, Du Bois was right. You see, in the end, it's probably going to end up with another struggle over and in Africa, because Africa has most of the resources required to sustain the species in the next 100 years or so. And so we need strong visionary leadership and organization in Africa over against the American imperial projects and over against the various Chinese efforts. Now, that doesn't mean the African nations can't work with other nations. It can't work even with, they can work with the Chinese under certain conditions. But usually the major powers are after their own interests, reshaping the world in their own image. We've seen that in the USA over time, and we may see it more and more and more in China. China tends not to have the kind of violent ruptures in support of violent overthrows of nations. It doesn't have that kind of history. It has an ugly internal history of violence, but it doesn't have one the way the United States has intervened in, hundreds and hundreds of Latin American nations, Caribbean nations, Iran. We can go on and on and on in terms of violent, supporting violent overthrowing of democratic elected leaders. China doesn't have that kind of long history, not at all.
Yeah, educate us, Doc. And the scramble for Africa has been always since 1400.
Somebody corrected me a couple of weeks ago, was 1884, and I said 1883, and I said, thank you. I stand corrupted as my Maulana Karanga, the great towering figure that he is intellectually writing definitive history of Malcolm. Rescue me if I'm wrong.
Amen to that. Back over to the tube. We got Daniel Samir back here. He said, I wish we could have rallied around. Oh, yeah, Daniel is in here just like laying it down, Doc. He said, I wish we could have rallied around Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah, though, how to reach the level of organization. Just basically at one point, he was saying that he kind of wished he didn't follow the other movement part that said sit out the election over genocide, which I get it. You know, the uncommitted movement, Doc, which I know you're fully familiar with. So Brother Daniel is just saying he wished that people like him had of rallied around you and Dr. Abdullah more.
Well, now that's very, very kind of him. Sister Melina just had her precious daughter graduate from Howard University, and she's still doing a magnificent job leading the Black Lives Matter grassroots. We just had our board meeting last week, and it is as strong as ever.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Congratulations. When we come forward, we're going to continue this lively discussion. You're listening to Truth Time.
The station you turn to when you had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
We're grateful for that meeting, Doc. I got to slide back into the tube. We got Sister Andrea G. It's always the right time to tell the truth. Thank you, Dr. West and Senator Turner, for continuing to show up, educate, and engage in such meaningful discourse. And thank you, Sister Andrea G. Shayla Johnson is back in the house, Doc. Shayla been gone for a minute. She said, miss hearing you guys. Took a bit of a mental health break, but she's back. We all need to do that.
We salute our dear sister. We salute all the other sisters as well, all of those who respond to us.
Yeah, we do. We got some regulars in here, you know, we becoming familiar with them. I was wondering where Shayla was. We glad you back, darling. You know, there's a saying, Doc, about being informed, but trying not to be inundated. And you got to find the balance.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I can't take credit for it, but I receive it. Brother Morris Phillips saying whoever controls the narrative controls the conversation. Is that not the truth? That is so true. And they just going on and on. I can't even keep up with them. Brother Daniel Samir saying thank you for circling back to that. I had deleted it because I wasn't sure if that topic was too much. Much love. And he's making reference to the uncommitted. I thought, Brother Daniel, I'm glad you, because I was reading it and I saw him make 2 comments about it. And then I saw one was gone. I'm thinking, did I just misread that? But thank you, Brother Daniel, for coming in there, letting me know that you deleted one. But his whole notion was, I don't think necessarily mad about uncommitted, but he definitely gave his effort to the uncommitted movement. And just upon thinking, was that the right place to put his energy versus helping you and Dr. Abdullah? So I really appreciate him having that self-reflection with us in real time.
Absolutely. Very.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So it's still going on. We love you all so much. Thank you for taking their time. Doc, I really appreciate, we both do, when they take their time throughout the middle of the day to engage with us and engage with each other. So never allow our foes to be our focus. And Doc, I'm gonna tell you, you know what I'm carrying with me? The critics don't know what they're talking about. That's my word for the day. Anybody criticize, I'm just say y'all don't know what you're talking about.
That's true.
And we appreciate you all so much. Doc, we got to talk a little bit. Hopefully tomorrow we can talk a little bit more about your commencement speech. I want to hear more. I started listening to a little bit of it last night. I'm going to get through all of it tonight. And we should talk about that. I think the messages that you gave to the Morehouse grads, and thank God for them and their mamas, daddies, and play cousins, that they made it over at least this hurdle of their lives, and there'll be many more. But we want them to stand up for their people and stand up for humanity. That's kind of like that specialness of attending a HBCU. But Doc, it's that time where we tell people, live on purpose, live your purpose, live on purpose, and remember above all things, titles are good. They really are. They might get you in the room, but baby, purpose is so much better. Until next time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.